I need to know, and the audience needs to know, why is
So-
Piccolo black? Tell me.
So
I'm not disagreeing. I just want to know.
There are many schools of thought. My personal school of thought. Stefan, I'm going to definitely I'm definitely going to pass it to you after I do it because I know you probably got some deep with this. But
dive in.
My school of thought is when it came to Piccolo, is that growing up, the token black character was the tough guy. He was the strongest. He was the powerful one. He was the stoic one. He was the one the main character would go to when shit got real, right? So me, tiny little Wally, sitting on the carpet, eating their cereal, watching Dragon Ball Z Sunday morning when I should be getting ready for church, sees that Gohan got kidnapped by Raditz. And I'm like, oh no, what's going to happen? Oh shit. But then out of nowhere, Piccolo's like, I'm here to help you out. And Goku's like, but wait, Piccolo, you were my enemy. And I'm like, what do you mean he was his enemy? Hold on. That's some lore I need to research. And that's how I got into Dragon Ball. But the point is this.
Young Wally's Piccolo... being like, I need to do a lore dive.
But the point is this, is that Piccolo fit that archetype exactly to the key. So I'm gonna take a page out of Stefan's book and I'm gonna do the Socrates method. And let me pose a question to you. When you think of Piccolo, would you also think of Panthro from Thundercats? Because think of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I did.
Strong. There you go. Strong, powerful, silent type, bald, brolic. Look at him. Mm-hmm. So, but thing is, because of that, we folk, we
Piccolo?
were like, yeah,
shit.
I'm like Piccolo. I'm like Piccolo.
This realization is happening right now, live.
But thing is, that's where it started for a lot of us black anime fans of like, especially from my generation, because the only there were no real like black characters for me growing up, at least in anime at that time. And when I finally saw them, all they were was, I'm the strong guy. I'm the big guy. Like a great example of this one anime called Tenjo Tenge is there's a character. Yeah, I see all y'all rolling your eyes. I put you on spot. You laugh. That means you watched Tenjo Tenge.
I haven't watched it, but I know it because
yes.
It was very popular with a certain kind of guy in college. I'm not saying that you are this kind of person. I'm just saying they were... No. Because at the time I was male casting, they were very excited to tell me about this series, and I'm like, this sounds kind of gross.
No, but the thing is, because I know exactly what type of guy, because I hung out with that guy. He got me into Tenjo
I did too.
Yes. But there is a character in Tenjo Tenge, and here is the character's name. I need you all to sigh in Negro with me. Bob Makihara. Why is he called Bob Makihara? Because he's big, he's black, and he has dreadlocks. That's why he's called Bob Makihara. The extent of him, and I kid you not, he's one big dick joke. That's what he's reduced to in that series.
That sounds about right.
Yeah. That's all it is. And thing is, that was a lot of the characters in the 90s growing up watching anime. That's all we had. It was just the big tough guy who was reduced to just being, my role is big and tough and dark skinned. That's all we had to latch on. So we had to like look at characters like Piccolo, who was like, I have more depth than beyond me being big and black and not white. Because Piccolo not only like was filling that archetype, but also he was a surrogate father to Gohan. He trained Gohan into being the hero that he is now. Not only that, he had an amazing rich story arc where he learned about his past, who he was, because all this time he thought he was a demon, and then he learned he's actually a slug from outer space. That must be just mind-blowing. And then he had an amazing story arc where he had this internal struggle of where he and Kami had to reform to save the Earth, and Kami had some legit baggage issues of like, I don't want to reform with you because you're a part of my life I wanted to get rid of. And oh my gosh, Piccolo is a freaking amazing character. I'm getting goosebumps talking about
Piccolo.
Me too.
Damn it.
Well, he's like
Piccolo.
He's like the evil side of Kami, right? But then, but the evil side of Kami is like a super good dad who,
and the best part is
one of the best people.
Yeah, and the part is when you think about it, is he really the evil side if he did what he can to eject that from himself? Was it really Kami?
Redemption.
Was the oh my gosh, I fucking love Piccolo
so wait, just to summarize what you said, Wally. So Piccolo essentially is a black character because growing up, Piccolo embodied this nuanced archetype that wasn't widely available.
Yes.
One of a stoic, powerful mentor and surrogate father character. Piccolo wasn't this sort of Piccolo wasn't a stereotype like Mr. Popo.
Except for when Chi-Chi dressed him. But
oh no! Come on! That fit was. Come on! Let's be honest. Let's be honest. You rocked that fit in a minute.
he looked good. Yeah, I don't know.
Piccolo's iconic, but so it's not the fact that. So it's not the fact that Piccolo is also visually an outsider among the other sort of the Asian presenting characters.
That's part of it.
Is that part of it?
Yeah, it is part of it. It is 100% part of it.
Okay, that wasn't mentioned, so I was like, is that?
I think, like to kind of like just expand on what Wally said is that, you know, when you look at television, you know, so like 1970s television, we get some of the very like late 60s, early 70s, we get some of the very first appearances of black characters on television. And throughout this kind of era and into the 80s, the majority of black characters are put into very specific archetypes. We are the thugs. We are the toughs. If we are part of a team, we are not the smart one with the laborers, right? You look at B.A. Baracus in the A-Team. B.A. is the only enlisted man, and whenever Hannibal comes up with a plan, who's the one who builds everything? It's B.A., right? And we're put into this very strict archetype, and so we're looking for a kind of representation in other places. In anime, I think the first black character I remember is Claudia Grant in at the time Robotech, right? But then eventually, you know, I kind of backtrace that to Macross. And of course, in Macross, then, you know, you watch Robotech, that leads you to Southern Cross, right? And the second part of it. And then the one black character in there, she naturally has to be related to Claudia, because if they're both black, they got to be related, right? So, you know, but we see very rare representations in this period of black characters. And if there are, you know, like these stereotypical representations. And I think with Piccolo, absolutely everything Wally said, but there's also a visual representation. And I think for me, I absolutely agree. I saw Panthro as black as well, watching Thundercats the first time through, because there again, he fits this kind of particular archetype, but he's the leader of kind of the mentor character, right? And kind of has some parallels with Piccolo. And I think it's very, very important to make the distinction with Piccolo and Panthro is that it's very easy. There's this long-standing archetype in film and television, the magical Negro, right? That is the character who is usually put in a mentor-like position, but they only exist to help the main character, usually white character, find themselves in some way or guide the white character to some revelation, right? And this goes all the way back to Uncle Remus in Song of the South, and so many other depictions that we can name. And it's still seen sometimes in productions today. But Piccolo and Panthro are not that, right? They are they are mentor characters, but they are also kind of have this kind of brilliant air. Panthro is the tactician. He's the father figure, just like Piccolo has a lot of these traits. They're also excellent fighters. They have this kind of very kind of multivalent identity to them that you just did not get in black characters in this time frame at all. And so I think a lot of black viewers, we just adopted these characters, right? To say like, oh yeah, no, that's us right there. And also I think same thing with Panthro. There's a little bit of the, he's got the darker fur than the rest of the Thundercats, right?
Right.
And so we're latching on both kind of the visual and also kind of this multivalent range of characteristics.
What about you, Navarre?
Yeah. So retweet all of that, both of them. But also for me, there was two things. So as a kid, the first animated movie I ever watched or remember watching was The Lion King. And of course, Mufasa's voice is super iconic. And I learned as a kid that the voice actor was black. And so my brain associated deep voices with black men. So that's part of it. That's truly a part of it, for me at least. The other part of it is that I grew up around not a lot of other black people. Like when I say not a lot of, I mean like 5 families in the town I grew up in. And when you grow up in a place like that, oftentimes when you're out playing, like I talked about this before we went on, but like you're out playing and everybody wants to be the Dragon Ball Z characters. And it's always like, well, you can't be Goku because... Yeah. And these are white
Piccolo.
kids talking about like Goku's.
Oh
yeah,
God,
like,
yes.
Yeah. Which
extremely white character, Son Goku.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So this is just a small tangent, but I recently had Steve on the show, Steve of Asians Represents fame, and Steve talked about for him how being Asian felt closer to being white than it felt far away from that. And so I think in that same vein, like white people look at almost every anime character and will go, yeah, that's a white character. Like you're only right maybe in Attack on Titan and a few other things. And other, but really those are Japanese characters, but white people can latch onto them. Whereas like for us, that's not like it. Literally, we look so far apart. You literally change into a blonde person with green eyes or blue eyes. So it's like, yeah, this, it's as far from me as it can be. But I think Piccolo was that othered character as well. He's often set apart. Like you see when spoilers for a 40-year-old series, but you see like when they all die and they're waiting to go to train, like he's better than everybody else, and he just stands by himself as Yamcha, Tien, and Chiaotzu like figure their shit out. And so he's always set apart, but he's always there, and he's amazing. And